Welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin', and this is episode 11, and of course I'm joined by my co-host, Roger.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Alright, man, what you been playing?
Alright, so Mario Golf dropped like 2 weeks ago, and that shit has been really good, actually. Like, seriously good. The Switch has had some really good games recently. Other than that, I've been playing the new 9.1 on WoW. The new raid's been awesome. We completed half the raid in the first week, which was pretty sweet.
Okay.
And I'm playing a bunch of Valorant.
Yeah, that's
so trying to hopefully get up to gold soon.
Yeah, one day, hopefully.
How about you, Vic? What you been playing?
Man, I just feel like I haven't really been playing a lot of other games like I have been there for a while, but definitely a lot of Valorant. I've been trying to set my game up in Valorant, of course. I feel like I'm improving. Definitely improving, I would say. Definitely has a lot of work to do in that game, but other than that, me and you hopped into Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. We're going to probably play that after the stream, of course, so that's been fun. Of course, I play Warzone here and there. I gotta get my matches in that. Me and Meek just be killing it, frying people in there. But it's getting old. It's getting bad because of all the hackers, and now that there's more hackers now on console as well, it's making that kind of game just not fun.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the thing for most games right now. It seems there's an issue where people get really bored of actually having to try, so like what we had today, either hackers or Smurfs. These people are just coming in, and they're really ruining the game for other people because they'll make new accounts, play low elo, play some really, really silly champs at certain elos, and they'll just crush kids, and then they're like, haha, you suck, GG's.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not cheating, bro. Like, yeah, we know you're cheating. Yeah. Like, it's obvious. Yeah, dude. It's blatant.
Yeah. When you're 33-8 and the next person on your team is 11-12, there is a disparity there. There is a clear, definitive problem. You're either cheating or you're either not supposed to be here, and why are you unrated? Clearly because you're a new account. And I think as we get to play more and more, the level system will kind of truly show through, say, this person's level 3. Of course they're a brand new account. So
It's crazy to see that Valorant has such a cheating issue because they have that anti-cheating software. Like, if you close out of it, you have to restart your whole computer before you can even load back into Valorant. So it's just like the way that people are finding these ways around the system is just like, why are you putting that much effort in to cheat and pretend that you're good? Like, there's no fun in that.
Yeah, and not to mention that there was a bug found recently that if you turn off your HUD, you can't get flashed.
Okay, that's
you just turn off your HUD through an NVIDIA control panel, and you no longer get flashed.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because then that definitely makes me wonder. Like, all right, I swear I flashed this person. I swear this person flashed this person, but they're like shooting you like they weren't flashing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. No, it's getting real suspect. But so if we want to move on here, PlayStation had their State of Play this month, didn't they?
Yeah, they sure did. It was just the other day here, and they showcased a couple of games. 3 of them that really stand out to me was Deathloop, Death Stranding, the director's cut, and then Lost Judgment, which they all look really good. Deathloop looks phenomenal. It's being made. It's being made by Arcane Studios, the game behind like Dishonored series. It looks really good, and apparently the exclusivity ends on September 14th of next year. So once this game drops, it's coming to Game Pass. Like, it's going to come to Game Pass on Xbox once that timed exclusive is up, and I'm super excited to play it.
Yeah, that Deathloop looks so good. It reminds me of that BioShock feel where like everything's out to kill you and you're the only person trying to stay alive. It seems everyone else is like, it could be bothered whether or not I die. I really like the idea. It gives me that Dark Souls vibe where you're like, okay, I've died. What did I do wrong? Okay, I've died. What did I do wrong? And I do like that the game is kind of timed, so it brings in a speed run element of it. So once you play it once, I can definitely see this ending up in ADGQ as well as SDGQ, which actually we just missed SGDQ this past week.
Oh, okay.
Or
Yeah.
actually, it may have just started. Um, yeah, 80 SGDQ was actually just this past week, so I definitely see this being a game to show up next year, or even in ADGQ later this year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely for sure. It's a really fast-paced game, and it's one of those
Yeah,
like you got to learn from learn from your mistakes, but like each time you play it, actually won't play the same either though. So
yeah,
like you can learn from your mistakes, but the game's gonna be different that
hmm
next time playing it. But like it just makes you adapt. Like you got to be able to like think on your toes. Like the whole talking
oh
about
yeah,
like is games healthy for you? Like what we talked about last week. Like this is like legit critical thinking. Like I got to learn
yeah,
from my mistakes, but how am I going to adapt it to this time to make it and like be able
hmm
to adapt on the fly and stuff like that. So it's really cool. But the
no, I
other game,
definitely agree.
the other game I mentioned, Death Stranding director's cut. I know you're not like what about it. I've never
Yeah,
played the game, but this game apparently adds like a lot of content that makes the game a little bit even better. And maybe I'll check it out one day. Maybe once I get it on the PS5, I'll grab it.
hmm
I'll grab a PS5 the PS5 and then grab this game here because it seems pretty cool. I'm a huge fan of Kojima. Jeez. Kojami, yeah, nice.
Kojima.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this game is very interesting. The issue I have here is just how poorly Death Stranding was received by a lot of fans
Hmm.
because it didn't have the content they were looking. It was supposed to be this big lofty dream. And don't get me wrong, I definitely will probably give it an attempt if I end up buying a PS5. I don't We'll see what happens, but if I get a PS5, I'll probably end up playing that as well as a bunch of these other games as well.
Hmm.
But I'm interested to see maybe the director's cut will help him fix the game because at the same time, wasn't the regular game his director's cut?
More or
You know,
less, it's supposed to be
he was
right.
given free reign. Yeah, he is the director, and nobody superseded him, to my knowledge. That's why they gave Kojima the free reins to do what he wanted,
Well,
especially after.
Sony was above him.
Yeah, well, I don't think they overruled him too much because in the gaming industry, everyone thinks Kojima's a genius, and whatever he touches is like liquid gold.
Right, which we all know about the apparently exclusive game coming to Xbox that's in the works by him as well.
Yeah,
So maybe we'll get a better game than that. But the last one I mentioned here was Lost Judgment, which looks really good. It's being made by the same developer behind the
yeah.
Yakuza series. So I mean, this looks really awesome. I'm excited. I played a
It's
little bit of Zero, so I mean, I kind of know what the franchise
this
is.
for me. This game looked very crisp, very clean. Something the Yakuza at times was very. You could tell that it wasn't real at times. Like this game, they're trying to push it towards being more that realistic color palettes. I really like that,
Hmm.
And at first, I'm watching this, I'm like, wow, this is like another Yakuza style game. I didn't realize at first that it was. I didn't realize Judgment and Lost Judgment are part of the Yakuza series, like in the Yakuza, greater ethos of the game, and
Yeah,
I
the
really, really
universe.
liked it. And watching him and like they were showing off a bunch of the mini games and stuff like that. Like it looks like there's battle robots. There's a bunch of other stuff to do. So I'm really excited to try a game like it. It looks really good. And, if I get a PS4, I'd love to play it because, well, it's
PS5,
actually on
yeah.
PS4 and Xbox. So
Hmm.
if you have either, I would definitely be picking this up.
Yeah, for sure. But sticking along the lines of Judgment, the first Judgment game is actually going to be the PlayStation Now July game, one of them. So if
Yeah,
you've never played any of these games, it's free on PlayStation right now, so you can definitely get that right away as long as you have that subscription, which is like third games like gold, more or less. But the
yeah.
other two games that comes out in July is Neo 2, which was a pretty solid game apparently. I've never played it, but looks pretty cool. And then, of course, Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, can't go wrong with that one. And the fact that it's free, they're just adding
Yeah.
to the player base and the player count. So
Especially
that's
with
awesome.
it being an online game that has still a decent community to it, and they have a new DLC coming out here soon for Red Dead Redemption 2 for online.
Hmm. Yeah, so it seemed like it was a smart business decision to get those who weren't on board for Red Dead Redemption 2. Hey, go check it out. Go play it. It's free as long as you have a PlayStation Now
And
subscription.
yeah, definitely. But I'm really excited. I think this is what PlayStation needed right now. This definitely the PlayStation State of Play really helped. I think
Hmm.
it showed me, man. I watched and I went, man. If I can't get this on PC, I want a PlayStation because some of these games look awesome. I was actually excited.
Right.
Um, especially with things like Lost Judgment or with Deathloop, they look
Right.
so good.
Yeah. Well, at least both of those games you just named will be on PC and Xbox eventually. At one
Yeah,
point.
well, Lost Judgment won't, but as of right now,
Right.
that hasn't stopped it before though, like with the last Yakuza series. But typically, they don't end up on PC for a few years.
Right. Yeah. PlayStation's always slow to get on their games over.
Hmm.
Anyway, but
But
on to
move
another developer here. It's the Nintendo. They announced the new Nintendo Switch, the OLED.
the
What?
OLED.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on this? Before I go
Um,
off on a rant.
yeah. So I see where you're coming from. We talked about this pre-stream here, but I actually think this is a good idea. It's not what we wanted, but it's not a bad purchase if you don't have a Switch, or if you're looking to spruce up your Switch a little bit. If you're looking to get a new one, things like that, it's a decent one, but it's not what we wanted. It doesn't address Joy-Con drift. It doesn't address resolution issues. It doesn't address battery life issues. There's a lot of issues that are unaddressed, but I do actually like that they're going to be increasing the screen size a little bit. They're going to be increasing the display quality, so it's going to be a nicer display at least than the traditional one they had been using. So for me, I'm not happy, but I'm not upset. It definitely wasn't the Switch Pro we were looking for.
Yeah, not at all. I was looking forward for that Nintendo Switch Pro, the 4K, like next gen, more or less Switch, right? So because like Switch has become a platform where it's massive. It's a massive platform now, and like a lot of big games can't play on Switch because it can't support the quality
Well,
of the games. So
and that's what worries me. Like things like Metroid Prime 4, that's still in the back burner, but like how much are they compromising on their game because the Switch can't handle it?
right, but maybe that's why we haven't seen Prime 4, that they're waiting for the Switch Pro or whatever the
Maybe.
4K next gen Switch that they're coming out with is coming. Maybe it'll come out. Maybe it'll be a launch title or whatever. But my thinking
Maybe.
is like the fact that this new OLED Switch is $350, so it's $50 more than the original
Yeah.
Switch, and you really get three benefits out of this: 0.8 inches of screen real estate, an Ethernet port on the dock,
Yeah.
and an OLED display.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that's worth $50.
Yeah, but $50, like it's not a significant amount to make someone who already has a Switch buy this Switch.
Oh,
There's no reason.
and that's the thing. They're not trying to market to people who have the Switch already, technically. They're trying to market to people who still haven't jumped on board on the Switch. Well, now we just released a new model. Here, it has a little bit,
Yeah.
it's a little more spruced up,
Yeah,
we've got a little more into it.
Me and you have talked before. The regular Switch was selling like hotcakes. They can't keep it
Yep.
on the shelf still. So
I know.
there was no reason to basically replace that Switch. That's basically what this new Switch did, is replace
Yeah.
that Switch, because to me it's the same model. It's the same thing, nothing different. That's
Yeah,
how I'm
well,
viewing this Switch.
Nintendo has done this
one.
before, though. This isn't the first time Nintendo's done this with a console release. Look at the DS. It took a while before the iteration where we got the new 3DS and things like that. Like we went through, the DS, we went through a second gen of DS, and then we finally hit like the 3DS and then the new 3DS.
Right, yeah, and I feel like they also picked a bad time to announce it. Like, maybe not even a bad time. Maybe it was a good time. It was like least expected. We're like, well, fuck, E3 came and gone. They announced all these new Switch games. No new Switch. All right, cool. And then they announced a new Switch. We're just like, this is trash. That was like the community's
it's
reception.
not what
to
we
this.
want.
Right.
Yeah, and I definitely feel the disappointment being in that community, but it's not bad. Like I would definitely get it if I needed a new Switch. Like if I was going, okay, I'm gonna get a new Switch, and then I would sell mine to somebody else, kind of thing. Or if
mine
Jordan or
broke
me
or
wanted,
something.
yeah, like if mine broke, or if I was going to trade up and give somebody my old one, or even if me and Jordan wanted a second one, I would get this new one over the old Switch. I feel as though the $50 is still worthwhile if you're looking for, a good Switch.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, it was just like when I made my decisions for the AirPods. Like, do I get the AirPods for $200 or the AirPods Pro for $250? keep
Yeah.
the pros because they have way better features on them. Like it was just like a
Yeah.
no-brainer at that point.
Exactly.
I mean, yes, if you're choosing between the two and you don't have a Switch, yeah, go for the 350
Yeah.
OLED display. Like it looks better, brighter colors.
It wasn't, yeah, it wasn't the best idea, but it wasn't the worst idea. Like
Yeah,
Nintendo could have just gone without a Switch release in general, and then it would have been like, okay, then we would have been just as salty, I think.
yeah, maybe. But I guess I'll look at it from a business standpoint. Like maybe they release this OLED display to become like the base Switch, and then once they
Yeah.
do release the new 4K next gen version, like then they'll have those two models. Those will be the two models, and maybe
Yeah.
if they keep the Switch Lite around, if they do that, so then you'll have a
Yeah.
$200, a 350, and then $400 or $500 Switch. Like you'll have uh, more access to get into the market, just like Xbox has. and PlayStation
Yeah,
has.
it's gonna give them the three tiering model, and I think this is their way of saying, okay, we want to do away with the old Switch. They're an improvement because they don't get me wrong, they wanted to make improvements to the Switch so that they'd have the Lite, the consumer model, and then the high performance model. I think this is their way of helping to phase out the old Switch and say, hey, we wanted to re-release it with some new, spruce it up. It isn't what we wanted. It's not worth a replacement, but it's definitely not a bad choice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree. But staying along the lines here of Nintendo, I know you. I don't know how you feel about this, but the Super Smash Bros. Disappointing news that came out with that being the last character that's coming out, and potentially like
No,
the
it's
final
second
support.
to last.
Oh yeah,
The
second to last.
to last. Yeah, so the new character that just got announced for Smash is the second to last, and it will be the second to last forever. So that means we're probably not going to see, the meme of Master Chief. We're not going to see, like Kiryu from Yakuza. We're not going to see any of these characters that a lot of us might want to see from the Sega Nintendo world. So there's a lot of characters out there that people are like, well, I wish this character would get made, and they just kind of avoid it. So it does feel bad right now. I think for a lot of players, they're like, they could probably have gotten away with continuing to release character packs for Smash, and people would have bought them like hotcakes. So don't get me wrong. I get that they're like, maybe they're moving on to a new Switch game, or maybe they're moving on to a new Smash Bros. Game. Maybe they want to stay more towards fine-tuning it for competitive play. Whatever the case is, this is the last Smash pack, so there are only going to be 2 fighter packs, 5 fighters and 5 fighters. So
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I think that they are potentially working on making a next Super Smash Brothers game. Maybe for that next Switch, the next gen Switch.
maybe, yeah,
That'll be able to support like a bigger, like more people on screen or bigger maps or whatever. I don't know. Like maybe that could push it to the limits.
probably fixing up the net code, because right now their net code is pretty spaghetti, so it doesn't really like to run very well. Like if you're playing online on anything other than Ethernet, good luck actually playing anything remotely competitive.
Right.
Every other fighting game you can actually play pretty competitively online with very little lag or issues. Well, with this, it's almost unplayable for Smash.
What do you think? It's because they can't play Ethernet on the Switch?
Well, yes, that is one issue. The fact that
if you get the new one.
Well, no, you could if you bought an adapter. Like Switch always supported an Ethernet adapter if you get a USB to Ethernet.
Mm-hmm.
You could always just plug and play it, but you had to buy a whole new adapter, which is like $20 or more.
Yeah, most people didn't want that. They wanted that already on the system, which it should have.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of disappointed that the dock didn't have Ethernet to begin with, and I think that was one of the big blowbacks. But the console itself still spoke true, and people were like, I'm going to get it even though it has some shortcomings, because it was a great console.
Yeah, I love the console on the Switch.
Yeah, so I'm definitely disappointed to hear that, Steve from Minecraft got made, but maybe some of these other characters I would have cared much more for never got made.
Right.
We never saw like a Knuckles from Sonic, or like, we had one Sonic character. We didn't really get anything out of Sonic. We didn't get really anything out of a ton of games, and it feels bad. I feel as though it was a missed opportunity. We never got Waluigi in the game.
Right, we got Blaziken. Or did we not
never
get Blaziken?
Yeah, we never got. Yeah, exactly. As Bass just said, we never got Blaziken. We got Incineroar, but we never got Blaziken. And I definitely agree. I would have loved to see something like Blaziken in the game, but so we're gonna
Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee, like the OG
maybe one
fighters
of fucking actually punching or like kickboxing Pokemon. Now, I definitely was upset about hearing the news that this is the last fighter pack, but I really hope that we get a new Smash at some point, because I really liked this past one, and I really would like them to build upon it as a platform, because it was such a good game.
Right, and as you can see, a lot of games are succeeding because they become a platform as opposed to just a game. And, you know, like they continually support and Fortnite, GTA, Minecraft, Roblox.
And bringing us into our next concept here, or our next discussion point, Assassin's Creed Infinity is going to be just that. Yeah. They want to make the new Assassin's Creed. They're going to make the new Assassin's Creed into a platform, so it's going to be an ever-evolving game where you essentially buy DLC, I assume, or buy onto like a release schedule like you would with an MMO, where we're going to release more story or more this, and I feel as though games are moving towards this episodic instead of fully deliverable.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but maybe we will get better content out of this, where like people can like put all their efforts into episode 1 or pack 1 or whatever you want, and then they can go and focus on this, where like you can have smaller teams working on individual packs where you still have another team taking care of the content that's already there, and so they can put out hot fixes and updates and stuff like that to fix any of the issues. Like, so it could be a good balance in the end of the way. But this whole like live games, streams or whatever, it's pretty cool to see like live service games, because like thinking about it back then, like my biggest example is Call of Duty, because Modern Warfare 2 and 3 was my peak years in Call of Duty, and we didn't have any content during those times. Same thing with World of War and Treyarch. Like once the content came out from the map packs, that was it. We barely got any updates after that ever. And I played Modern Warfare 3 for an example forever, for like 2 or 3 year Call of Duty cycles, because that game was a lot of fun. But I was just playing it out of like me and my friends wanted to play it. We were just having fun, just destroying everybody. But there was no content. There was no updates, nothing. Where like the new games have it, constant updates, constant flows, and now I'm at the point where like, Call of Duty's Call of Duty. Don't want to play it as much. So like, what they have now, wish they had before, but we live and we learn, and I'm glad it's here. And some games fail. Look at Avengers. Avengers was trying to be that live service game. Did not work out for that game. It could have, but they were trying to do too much. So it got to have its balance. It got to find what it's trying to do. It needs to aim for what it's going to do. Like, if they're going to make this Assassin's Creed Infinity, they have to stick to its roots of what makes an Assassin's Creed game. Don't try to be a looter shooter. Don't be trying to do MMO type stuff. Like, don't branch off to try and be too much, because you're really going to fail.
You're gonna, if you rewrite the formula, you're gonna bake a terrible cake here. I think we're dealing with the fact that they're like, okay, I think we're at our end here of being able to make Assassin's Creed games. Like, I feel like Assassin's Creed has jumped the shark, as many would say, because it's been there, done that. Like, for me, Assassin's Creed killed the game when they killed off the actual main character and the reason for the game to exist. Like, they had this whole big thing where like, yeah, exactly. Can't wait to start looting boxes, off of random Templars. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, I'm getting salty with games like this because they had a formula. Okay, you had a character, Desmond, and you're trying to figure out, through his past how to fight. What is it? Aperture or not Aperture? It was I can't even remember the world organization or whatever that they're fighting against. But then they just kill him off as a character. Mm-hmm. And then we just play Assassin's Creed games. We stop talking about the real world anymore, and we're always just there's no more. Yeah, we don't really do any of the fun stuff anymore, which was like the overarching big bad. Like, it was literally to me like playing the Matrix, and then they were like, okay, let's get rid of the Matrix and just everyone's in it from now on forever. Yeah, it would have been much better if we fought Aperture Science. But yeah, that's my issue. I think we have. Assassin's Creed has jumped the shark, and I think at this point they're just trying to reinvent the wheel, and this platform version of Assassin's Creed is just kind of their final way of saying, please play Assassin's Creed.
I mean, not necessarily, because Valhalla was one of their most successful Assassin's Creeds of all time. So, and it was really good. They've been supporting it really well. The content seems to be really well. It's been really good content. So it's just like, they got a lot. They're doing really well. They got a lot of support, but they're trying to do something new, because it's been the same game forever. But it's just like,
and I think
there's so much more time place. Like, you can cover so many different time eras and different issues in history.
And there's so much that could be done, but I think Assassin's Creed at this point has jumped the shark, and like even their other games are really unsuccessful. Like, look at Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
The new Watch Dogs game was, in all honesty, a flop. They were like, look, we're going to have online multiplayer and stuff like this. And then we never got it. And they were like, we have a cash shop in the game, but no multiplayer.
Yeah.
It feels as though they're putting the cart before the horse because they care only about, making that in-game currency. And I think this is another way. If they make a platformer, they can convince people to do in-game purchases more.
Right. Yeah,
That's
so,
I can guarantee it. It's gonna be loot boxy or things like that where they're gonna try and sell us on microtransactions just like they did with dumbass Watch Dogs.
well, hopefully not. I'm hoping that if they're going to go on this route, that it's a good game because I enjoyed the last three
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed. They were a lot of fun. Story was fun. They changed some stuff up that made each game different, a little bit more fun, stuff like that. Valhalla was great. It was not too long, not too short, just the right amount of content, and then the support after launch was great too. Like I can't complain. So I hope that they continue with their success where they're at. Granted, they are riding the same wave that they've been riding since the beginning, even though
Yeah.
the slight changes that they did make kind of mess with the fan base enough. But they do got two development teams working on this: the Montreal team and the Quebec team, which were alternating there for a while between the Assassin's Creed games. So it's cool to see that they're both coming together to both be able to put their ideas together to make this platform. And
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what kind of historical setting that they go into. Like I'd be really interested to see like an Asian historical setting.
Everyone
like
would. We've been
Japan,
asking for that for 10 years.
Yeah, maybe we'll get it. Maybe we'll get a Russian one. Maybe we'll
Everyone was like, we're getting Japan, and then they instead give us another European one. Now Vikings aren't complete. Like, yeah, it's just England again, but with Vikings instead of the Renaissance era or the Industrial Age.
Right.
But like, no, I'd like to see them succeed, but I feel as though with it becoming a platform, it's a way for them to push a cash shop that shouldn't be there. So we'll see what happens, as more news comes out, and we'll keep people posted. But
yeah, one to another game here I know that you've been excited about, that I'm just getting into. I'm new to the game, is Phasmophobia, but they just released like kind of like more of like a roadmap. So what's going on with the roadmap?
So what happened is they have since they're early access and stuff like that, they keep their roadmap actually public so that all people can see their work and what they're working on. So Phasmophobia is one of those games for me lately that has been kind of, I hit a wall. The content is the same. We get in, get out. The ghosts are pretty similar. Things aren't really changing that much. So on the roadmap, they just announced a few new things. They want to reset the game now so that the level progression actually means something. And when you level up, you get cosmetics from solely playing the game. There's no cash shop. You solely play the game, level up, hit a prestige like you do in Call of Duty, restart back at 1 and try to get back to max level and reset again, just so that you get more cosmetics every time you do it. And they want to make the equipment more impactful. So, because right now there's a lot of equipment that's just kind of useless, like the microphone. There's no reason to run around trying to listen for ghosts because half the time the ghosts don't even do anything. So they put out a bunch of cool stuff that they want to do, and we even just recently had a new update where they added the Willow Street house and 2 new ghosts, a Hantu and the Yokai, and honestly, it was a really good update. Now you've got ghosts that are listening to you, and if you're talking around them, it pisses them off and they attack. So you and your friends shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
so,
I was talking shit, and then that motherfucker fucked me up. I was trying to hold the door shut, and it was just like, nope, I'm coming through the door.
Whether you're holding it or not. So no, I think Phasmophobia is on a good path right now, and one of the cool things they're trying to do is now add more map effects. So the only time the map really changes is when the ghost changes. And you're dealing with the ghost, and the ghost is messing around. But now they want to add in hallucination and stuff like that. So you start seeing shit to really help up that horror value that's already there. If you're walking down, in the insane asylum, and you start seeing stuff walk, in the periphery of your view, you're gonna start getting spooked a lot quicker then.
Right.
So, Phasmophobia is a game I definitely would keep an eye out if I were you. The VR is awesome. It's really well done, as well as the game itself. And you don't have to play all VR or no VR. You can play a mix. Like, if one person's playing VR, all your friends can play on PC and still don't need VR. And I think it's a really awesome game. So, be on the lookout there. If you look for a horror game that's co-op and, you can't really fight back, You're at the will of the opponent.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that game's a lot of fun. I enjoy my sessions, for sure. But onto another co-op game here that's coming out.
What?
Actually, not 100% sure when it comes out.
Well, the thing that really impresses me here is the studio behind this game. So Jagex, right?
I'm not too familiar with that studio actually.
I bet you are. Have you ever played RuneScape?
A long time ago.
That's Jagex,
Oh wow! So
the
so
creators of RuneScape.
So the two different developers that are behind this
Yeah,
game, Space Punks, which is a co-op looter shooter that kind of looks like a isometric Borderlands, and that's
yeah.
top-down sci-fi, is being made by Flying Wild Hog and Jagex, which is
Hmm.
two interesting developers because I just found out that Jagex was behind RuneScape, but Flying Wild Hog was best known for Shadow Warrior and Shadow Warrior 2, well the reboot
Yeah.
of that franchise. So
Or
there's a
and
lot
Shadow
of great
Warrior 3 this year.
yeah.
They're releasing Shadow Warrior 3 if it's not already come out. So,
Right. So there's a lot of great
yeah.
skill behind this. I'm excited. This game looks cool. I
Hmm.
mean,
Like Shadow Warrior has been one of those highly rated game series. All three games have done really well. Well, the third one hasn't come out yet, but it's already got good reviews from people who have gotten to see it in preview. And not only to mention that Jagex is one of the longest standing MMO providers next to Blizzard. RuneScape has been in existence since like the early 2000s. I think RuneScape is like, 2006, 2007 maybe. I lied. 2001. So, at the turn of the century, RuneScape launched, which I believe WoW doesn't even predate that. WoW it released in 2004. So RuneScape is even older than that of WoW. It's one of the oldest concurrent games that have been on the market. So I really hope, with the experience that they have behind RuneScape, Jagex and Flying Wild Hog are going to make a really good looking game. They already just released a 24-minute demo and
mhm.
it looks really, really good. It looks like a Diablo clone, but kind of
With the
it,
Borderland look
it
to it.
yeah, Borderlands style Diablo clone is what
Yeah.
I would call it.
So I think
And
it's
it
an interesting like mix
Mhm.
of games too, and you have the typical four class that you get to choose from. They're called the Misfits. So you have Duke, and you also have Eris, then you have Finn, and you have Bob, which looks like the alien from Men in Black. But they all
yeah.
have different abilities and stuff like that. There's loads of guns and swords and all kind of stuff. So it looks really cool. I'm excited to check it out. Um, I'm not exactly sure when the release date is. I'm about to see here.
I don't think they've given a definitive release date. I think Space Punks is just
Oh, it's coming out in early access. Um,
yeah. Okay.
this month
On
in
the
early
Epic Game
access. Yeah.
Store.
Yeah. So this will be pretty cool. July 14th it says early access on the Epic Game Store for
Okay.
12 months.
Okay, so it'll be in early access for a long time, I bet.
It says 12 months at least. So.
Yeah. So, but moving on to another game here, talking about MMOs, Star Wars: The Old Republic. They're actually releasing a new expansion?
Yeah, well, I guess it's the 10-year anniversary of that game's release, and it's called Legacy of the Sith. I've never played this Star Wars game ever, and I've always wanted to play it because I remember when it did came out. It came out back in 2011. It was senior year of high school. That was during a time where we were playing WoW and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it was a similar aspect. It was like it's MMO. Like
I
it was
played it
basically.
for a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never
I
got to play
actually
it.
played it for a while, and it was really good. I thought it was really well done. It felt like a WoW clone for a while there, but honestly, if you really got into it, I think the game had some good content for you. It was diverse because yeah, a lot of people played Jedi's all the time, but you also found a lot of bounty hunters and a lot of other people playing a ton of cool stuff. But I think
The angrier I got, yeah, right.
yeah,
Hopefully
so
we'll see a remake of KOTOR here soon. It could
maybe,
be in the
but
works.
yeah, no, I get that feeling, but then again, it is an MMO, so you've got to want to play an MMO and not a single player experience if you're playing the Old Republic. But I honestly thought this game was all right. It wasn't half bad, and I probably wouldn't give Legacy of the Sith a try, but I definitely like to hear from our viewers in the future once it launches how it went.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll give this game a try. Like, maybe not this expansion part of it because I don't know if I'll be able to play that long to be able to play the expansion or not. But I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm probably one of the biggest Star Wars fans that are out there. But this is just one game that I just never got to, and it's just like I missed out on it. I missed that train. I said choo choo and zoomed right on by. Missed it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully it succeeds. I mean, I wonder if I actually want to know if this is going to be canon or not, because I'm super into the lore of Star Wars. So it'll be interesting to find out if it is canon. If it's not canon, I'm not even 100% sure because this game technically came out before Disney bought it, and Disney iced and made everything that came out before the purchase Legends. So I'm not sure. Be interesting to know if this is canon or not. But on to another franchise here, Minecraft. This came out of nowhere. This came out of left field. Don't understand it. Minecraft gets a 19 plus age rating in South Korea. Why?
The reason for that is because Minecraft requires a Microsoft account to play it, and in Korea, to have a Microsoft account, you need to be the age of 19 or older.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So by definition, what happens
if your parents make an account for you to play?
Then I don't know. I think it was the way they phrase the article, it just seems like they're like, oh yeah, no, you have to be 19 years or older to play Minecraft, and that's solely because you need a Microsoft account to play it. Now, if you have a parent doing it for you, I'm pretty sure you can get away with playing Minecraft because you have an account that is a child account of a 19 plus year old account. So your parents, I assume, are older than 19, and if you're playing Minecraft, it'd be really weird for you to be playing it and your parents aren't.
I worded that poorly then. What if your parents created you an account but gave you like parental permission to play that game? Like, I wonder if that's an option to bypass the whole 19 years or older thing.
I'm betting it probably is, but that's mere speculation on my end. Mm-hmm. The whole reason behind the 19 plus thing is literally you just had, it was literally, you just needed to be able to have a Microsoft account. You can't have one unless you're the age. So it's probably just a clickbaity article that we found here, mm-hmm. But it is an interesting thing to talk about that. You know, in Korea, to play the game, you have to be 19 plus, and it's just, it was just an interesting article, I think, just to kind of catch our attention.
Yeah, it definitely caught my attention. I was like, this is weird because Minecraft is like a game that's used in elementary school, like to help learn and stuff like that, like what we talked about before. So it's just like it really was just like, why do I got to be an adult to play Minecraft? Like that, it seems like that just doesn't go together. But on to our last gaming topic here for this week here is Resident Evil Village. You posted it in there. I actually wasn't really following the article too well. Okay. But, so there's an issue that was fixed through like pirating the game, more or less.
Well. So yeah, what happened was Resident Evil, the new one, Village. There was just recently people on the internet, as they do, found a way to crack the digital rights media on the game, the DRM. And when they cracked the DRM, they found that the game actually played smoothly and without issue compared to with DRM, because it turns out the software they use to apply DRM to the Village, it actually causes stuttering, latency issues, frame rate issues, because the software in there protecting it for DRM is actually killing the game rendering.
Seeing this kind of stuff makes me wonder, like, how many other games suffer from this
because of DRM.
Yeah.
So all of these games we play out there nowadays have DRM anymore, except for GOG, which is pretty cool. I like GOG, but the issue is it's just Steam. To play any Steam game, you have to have Steam open in the background. It always has to be open. You cannot play a game without Steam. It doesn't have to be connected to the internet, but Steam has to be on. So Steam is running in a process in the back of your computer. So it's always already there. But now we're also talking about an additional layer of DRM on top of Steam or whatever else you're playing it off of that's causing rendering issues. So it's actually quite saddening to hear that companies are more worried about DRM than they are actually producing a game that plays.
Right. I wonder, like, with the like, was it more scary to play the game with DRM on versus not? Like, does that extra stutter added like some crazy
Yeah.
like horror feel to it? You know what I mean? Like being this
Yeah,
kind of game, like obviously you wouldn't want the stuttering if I was playing Call of Duty, like would fuck everything up. But like
exactly.
in this kind of game, it's just like you could add a next level of like
I
being
I think it would
suspenseful.
take me out of the game more or less.
Yeah, maybe that's
To
what I'm
be
saying. I
honest.
wonder, I wonder how it played comparably.
Mhm,
I would have to see like a side by side like comparison trailer or video or whatever.
mhm. But yeah, for me, this is definitely an issue, and I think developers, this is like egg on their face. The developer is just going to look the other way and say, "Well, you hacked the game, so you can't take these people at their word," kind of thing. But I mean, they removed the DRM and the game works better. So maybe these companies should probably take a moment. But let's be honest, they're not going to take even a single moment to look at this and go, "Man, maybe we should fix this."
Right? Yeah, probably not. Too much resources to go out and fix a
Yeah.
game that they
Why?
deem is fine.
Yeah, the game's out. Let's move on to the next one.
Right. That's a typical business, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it
Moving
for
on here.
yeah. But say that's it for this week's gaming topic. Let's move on to our deep freeze moment of the week. Good. I got a great question here for everyone. Here is should there be an elective slash special class in high school for esports or like gaming in general? But should there also be an esports team in high school? Why or why not? What's your answer, Roger?
Well, for me, I kind of already stated it when you were talking to me the other day about it, but at this point, I believe that gaming is an integral part of being of just competition in general. Like, let's be honest, there's chess clubs out there, there are board game
Mm-hmm.
clubs out there. Why aren't there gaming clubs? Why aren't there, competitive gaming groups, people who get together and play these as a sport as they would. Because let's be honest here, playing games after a certain point, age does become a big factor, just like regular sports. So if we don't give kids a chance to actually participate in gaming as a sport during school, they're going to do it on their own. And I feel as though their studies are going to fall behind because a lot of kids are going to be instead having to play outside of actual, they're not going to be able to compete and actually try to improve themselves, when they get a chance. I think esports, like, I think definitely schools should come up with a way to be able to pursue it. Lots of colleges do it already. Lots of colleges, especially when I was in college, they definitely pushed for having gaming groups. Like, I had friends who were in a League of Legends club, and they would get together, and there were 10 or more of them there playing together competitively to help improve. And I'm not saying, that I'm not knocking any other sport, but you can't knock this because esports is a sport. Gaming is a sport. It is, yes, it's not physical, but it is a mental sport. Just like chess is
Or the
is a
spelling
sport.
bee. Like the spelling bee is on Sports Center.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Why is the spelling bee on SportsCenter? But as an elective, I don't see that happening. But maybe during taking your study halls and things like that to be a part of the sports team, more likely, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So what about you, Vic? Where do
Yeah.
you stand on all
Yeah,
the whole
so,
thing?
so so with my first question about being an elective or special class, I think it should be because like we get forced into doing a lot of classes that have no meaning in our real life, nothing that we enjoy, and we're just forced into doing it just because that's the curriculum. Why don't you allow us like them to be able to choose a class that could benefit them, make them better, and if you're going to have this sports team, guess what? That's an additional practice. Just like in basketball, I play for my high school, but guess what? I can go to AAU practices. I can go into individual one-on-one sessions with
Hmm.
with trainers and stuff like that. I know you can get that outside of school too, but why don't the schools offer it too? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it'd be more beneficial instead of just wasting time. Do something you
Hmm.
enjoy, get progressively better, and then for the whole team, the having a team in school, it should be a no brainer. Like they should determine what kind of game that they want to pursue to become an esports team, because obviously you got to have like a Call of Duty one or League of Legends or whatever. Like each school isn't going to be all Call of Duty or whatever. Like, or have multiple. You could have multiple teams, and it could be like in the springtime you're this game, and in the wintertime you're this game, and then in whatever fall you're this game. Like you could break it up into marking periods or however you want to do it. But I think this would be really beneficial because to talk on what you were talking about, colleges have it. Colleges have esports teams. Like I see it all the time. Like they literally have like a part of the campus where it's nothing but brand new high tech computers for these esports teams.
Well, let's look at this. Like even actual athletes, like big money athletes, like Shaq, I think owns his own esports team at this point.
Yeah,
I think
a lot of people are
getting
into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Now, I think we get into a little bit of a trouble here, and somebody way smarter than me in scheduling schools will be able to figure this out. But, you've got so many games, maybe it's going to be difficult to try and tie down exactly what game people should be playing as an esports elective. Maybe you have people come in at the beginning of the year, and you have everyone come in for an esports team, and then you ask the player, your students, what kind of game they are looking to play competitively, and everyone can kind of give their input.
Right, and to give you an idea, there's roughly been a decent amount of celebrities that have invested into esports. Shaq, Steph Curry, Mike Tyson, Will Smith, Drake, David Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo, Michael Jordan, even a few years back. Like the market's there. It's the biggest market in the world, which is what we talk about all the time. Why not make these kids better? Why don't we make these superstars better?
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of these people are gonna they're gonna shirk school to play esports on their own if we don't give them the ability to do so. I honestly believe that school should be entitling our youth to things that, yes, they want to do, but also will help better them. Because if you say, if you put in the ability for somebody to go to class and then also be able to, after class, play in an esports team, I think that helps, as opposed to being like kids who are like, I gotta get out of school, school's done, runs home to play, a game. I think it gives and it also helps to build camaraderie, I think, because, back in my day at school, you were ostracized if you played games. You were looked at upon as weird, so people didn't talk about what they gamed with, and it only just became more mainstream, when we were about to graduate, and then. But no, I do agree with Chad here, though, on the other aspect. Sure, traditional sports are expensive too, but they make schools money. Well, esports can also do that, I feel. I feel as though we're missing the mark here, because if schools come together, prize pools will begin to exist, and also sponsorships. High school's a little different, but local businesses still sponsor schools and stuff like that. They give back to their community by sponsoring high school games and stuff like that, and they'll pay for stuff. I can guarantee you that even if people are playing in competitions, state, national-wide competitions for esports, they're going to have prize pools that pull back to the school. So I believe there's still an incentive there for schools to be able to do that.
Right. Yeah, and just stick along what Chat was saying. He was like colleges obviously can pay to set up this kind of program better and easier than high schools, but you can start somewhere. Like funding has to come from somewhere. Like thinking about Still High alone, all the funding for our sports goes toward basketball and football. Baseball and softball get like no money, period, or volleyball and stuff like that. They barely get any funding because they give all the funding to the higher up. So like obviously I can see where the struggles could come from, but you got to put in that work. Like you got to advertise yourself. Like we're actually good. Showcase that, or go out and actually look for sponsorships, or do fundraisers and stuff like that. Like any little bit of money here and there can count. And like a lot of these kids already that are going to get into this kind of probably already have their own rig. That worst case scenario could start with bringing their rig or playing with their rig wherever. You know what I mean? Like there's no like it. And then but going what he was saying too is that bringing in money and stuff like that. I get it. Like when you go to a high school football game, you got to pay $5 to get in the game. You can host these same kind of tournaments in the gym or wherever you're going to host it at, and have people pay to come in. Like it's a no-brainer. Or if you want to watch it live, you got to pay to watch the stream or something like that. Like there are options to make money.
Yeah, and I think the laws aren't built yet to support a lot of this, but I think it's going to definitely come down to our generation finally pushing for more things to be done in this aspect, because I know people are going to go, well, I don't want my tax dollars going to pay for kids to game in school, but at the same time, my generation, I'm like, yeah, all for it, dude. I would rather my money go to help a kid play esports than for a kid to learn to well, I fuck football, in my opinion. I don't care about football. I'd rather my tax dollars, but it still goes to football because that's socially accepted. Well, it's a lot of this is going to come down to it finally becoming socially acceptable.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely agree here with Spooky Crow. Like, it may not be as popular in high school, like for like a crowd to watch. So you might get more of like a younger crowd that are going to come to these kind of events. You're not going to have like those old folks that have been in Steelton or Middletown all their lives coming to watch an esports event. You're probably not going to get it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. The older generation plays or watches sports too. Like, I have seen older people on ESPN just sitting there on a bar and they're just watching the game being played instead of watching another sport, because that shit is awesome to watch. Like, it is really exciting to watch people play games. I think
it's the biggest market. Like, we talk about it all the time.
Esports are niche, but I think they're niche because not enough people have been exposed to them. You give somebody 5 minutes in front of a game, they're like, oh, I can see why you'd watch somebody play a game instead of, just like I would watch some dudes beat each other up on a rugby field. You know?
Like, look, to put it into perspective, we really just spent $80 last night to watch people beat each other up. Why do people pay to watch that?
Well, and my follow-up is, why do you want to watch regular soccer? All they do is go, oh, you kicked me, I'm dying, instead of like watching some dude play FIFA where the game is always going, it's fast-paced, things are actually happening, instead of, oh, he got kicked, look, he's so hurt, and they pick each other up, and they're like, no, you can't pick me up, and they fall back down because they want to make sure they get somebody yellow carded.
Yeah, they try to be great actors.
Fuck, dude. Like, with games, people aren't getting, press F to fake injury kind of thing. That's, I would rather watch somebody play FIFA than actually watch a real soccer game, because that shit's boring. That shit sucks to watch, and I'll fight anyone who says otherwise. Like, it's like, I would rather watch a
soccer game. I mean, if you're watching MLS, that's trash. But if you're watching like the FIFA World Cup or the Euro League and stuff like that, that's way more intense. Yeah. And way better to watch.
But even sometimes it's just people are like, oh, faking injuries all the time.
It's soccer.
Every time I turn around, somebody's like faking an injury on the field to try and get somebody yellow carded. It's like, this isn't a sport. This is just like throwing shit at each other. It is low key just trying to get your competition out of the game by faking violence.
Right.
If I wanna watch a sport, I'm gonna go watch hockey, because at least sometimes a boxing match breaks out. Like, that shit's fun to watch.
Right. Yeah, for say the least. So, I think overall, gaming will eventually come to the high school level. I think, like you said, the laws are not intact for that and stuff like that.
And I think it's going to become a club.
Yeah,
clubs are the big thing that we're going to see in the future, I think, as well as more computer labs being built for, more gaming and like computer learning, that because that's the thing. Like, schools still don't even teach the basics of computer science. At this point, the basics of computer science need to hit high schools before we even talk about gaming in high schools. People don't even know. Yeah, people don't even know about computers, but they, we still have typing classes though somehow. At this point, I'm like, our generation knows how to type.
Yeah, our generation does, but everyone, like, without those classes, I feel like I probably wouldn't know how to type the way that I know how to type.
I mean, I played enough of an MMO to know where my hands need to sit, so I still sit on WASD while I'm trying to type sometimes.
I don't know if I could sit on that to be typing. It's always
I'll sit there. But no, I definitely So in the end, I think esports is going to grow more and more, because it's already big now. It's only going to get bigger in the future generations. I think finding the games to play is going to be the hardest thing in the future, because there are so many games to play. When you have soccer, you have soccer. When you have baseball, softball is kind of similar. You have baseball, softball, and cricket technically is kind of a similar sport. But then there's like when you talk about esports, you've got shooter games, many different types of shooter games. You've got
MMOs,
MOBAs,
yeah, you got all kind of.
you've got RTS games. So I definitely feel as though it's going to take a while for it to really work its way out till people figure out what works and what doesn't.
Right. So I think it's time to close out this week's episode. Do you have any last comments or remarks other than that?
Nope.
Cool. Yeah. Same here. So I just definitely want to thank everyone who did show up today that check us out live. Everybody who does check us out later on YouTube. If you do want to check these episodes out live every Sunday at 7 p.m., come check us out. Yeah, man. Other than that, Roger, where can we find you at?
You can see below my name. That's my Twitch URL. So twitch.tv/ and then my name, Lunatic Oblivion.
Awesome. And you can check me out at Twitter at Mr. _. Hit me up on Xbox at XNeverSpaceChillin if you want to game, party up, or whatever. Facebook is Vic Brubacher. Questions, concerns, you want to come on the show, hit me up for sure. Otherwise, my Twitch is twitch.tv / Mr. Neverchillin, as you can see below my name. But other than that, just want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.
Peace.